Welcome to the channel Beyond Inner Peace. Today we will share a story of a wandering monk and a lesson in silence. In a world full of noise, we often forget the power of quietness. This tale will take you through the journey of a young disciple who learns that wisdom is not always found in words, but in the depths of silence. The young disciple. Tenzin, a young disciple, sat on a wooden bench outside the monastery, watching the world unfold before him. He was eager to learn, but his heart was restless. His mind was filled with questions, and his tongue could not stay still. Every time he had a thought, he voiced it, seeking answers. Day after day, Tenzin would ask his master endless questions. "Master, what is the nature of the mind? Why does suffering exist? How can one find peace?" Though the master answered patiently, he noticed that Tenzin rarely paused to reflect before asking his next question. One evening, as the sun set over the monastery, Master Lama Rinzen sat beside Tenzin. "Your eagerness to learn is admirable," the master said. "But have you ever tried to find wisdom in silence?" Tenzin was puzzled. "But master, how can I learn if I do not ask? How will I gain knowledge if I do not seek answers?" Master Rinzen smiled, his eyes filled with a depth that seemed endless. "Come with me tomorrow morning and I will show you the way, the silent journey." At dawn, Tenzin followed Lama Rinzen deep into the mountains. The path was steep, winding through thick forests and narrow ridges. The journey was long, but the master remained silent. Not a single word was spoken. Hours passed in complete silence. The birds chirped, the leaves rustled, and the wind hummed its own melody. Tenzin's mind raced with questions. Where were they going? What was the purpose of this journey? He longed to ask, but held back, remembering his master's words. He noticed that as time passed, his thoughts began to slow. His mind, once restless, started observing the details around him. The cool breeze against his skin, the rhythmic sound of their footsteps, the distant murmur of a flowing river. Finally, after hours of walking, they reached a crystal-clear lake nestled between the mountains. The master sat down by the water's edge and gestured for Tenzin to do the same. The silence lingered, deep and profound. Lama Rinzen finally pointed to the water. "Observe," he said. "What do you see?" "The ripples of the mind." Tenzin leaned forward and gazed into the lake. "I see myself, but it is unclear," he said, as the wind caused the water to ripple. The master picked up a stone and dropped it into the lake. Ripples spread outward, distorting the reflection even more. "This is your mind," Rinzen explained. "When it is restless with words and thoughts, clarity is lost. When you constantly speak, your mind does not settle. But when you remain silent, you begin to see clearly." Tenzin knelt by the water, watching until the ripples faded. As the surface stilled, his reflection became sharp and undistorted. In that moment, he realized the lesson. Words were like stones, constantly stirring the waters of his mind. True understanding did not come from constant questioning, but from silent contemplation. They sat there in silence until the sun began to set, the sky turning shades of orange and purple. Finally, Lama Rinzen stood and gestured for Tenzin to follow him back to the monastery. The test of silence. Days later, Lama Rinzen took Tenzin to a nearby village. "Today we will walk through the market. Do not speak, no matter what you hear." Tenzin nodded, determined to follow his master's instructions. As they entered the bustling market, the noise overwhelmed him. Merchants shouted their prices, children ran through the streets laughing, and villagers chattered about daily affairs. The scent of fresh bread and spices filled the air. At one stall, a rough-looking villager sneered at them. Look at these monks wasting their lives in silence. What good is wisdom if you do nothing with it? He mocked. Tenzin felt his hands tighten into fists. He wanted to respond, to defend their way of life, but he remembered his master's words and swallowed his anger. As they left the village, Lama Rinzen finally spoke. You see, words are like arrows. When spoken in anger, they wound, but silence shields the heart. Tenzin exhaled deeply. He realized that had he spoken, he would have only fueled the villagers' ignorance. Silence had protected not only himself, but also the peace within him. The final lesson. Years passed, and Tenzin practiced silence. His mind grew peaceful, his heart untroubled. He no longer felt the need to fill the void with words. One day, the master called him and asked, "What have you learned from silence?" Tenzin smiled. In silence, I have learned to listen, not just to words, but to the wind, the water, and the hearts of people. I have learned that understanding does not always come from speaking, but from observing and feeling. Lama Rinzen nodded. Then you are ready. He handed Tenzin a small scroll. This contains no words, yet it holds the greatest wisdom. Go forth and teach others, but remember, sometimes the greatest teaching is in silence itself. Tenzin unrolled the scroll and found it blank. He looked up at his master in understanding. The true lesson was not written in ink, but in experience. The silent wisdom. Tenzin traveled far and wide, teaching others the wisdom of silence. He spoke only when necessary and listened with an open heart. As the years passed, he became known as the Silent Monk, a master of peace and tranquility. One day, a young disciple approached him. "Master, what is the most important lesson you have learned?" he asked. Tenzin simply smiled and closed his eyes. The disciple waited for words, but none came. Instead, he felt something profound in the silence. In that stillness, he understood more than words could ever explain. And so, the young disciple, who once could not stop speaking, became a master of silence, proving that the greatest wisdom is often found in the quietest moments. If you found wisdom in this story, remember to like, share, and subscribe to Beyond Inner Peace. Let the silence guide you to deeper understanding. See you in the next story.